Dr. 10 Signs. You have ADHD, and why they're actually superpowers for entrepreneurship. Why do I make so many mistakes? I feel different from everyone else. Do these thoughts sound familiar? You might be showing signs of ADHD, but here's the truth: you don't need to feel discouraged. ADHD isn't a disorder. It's a different way of thinking. And when viewed correctly, it's actually a collection of entrepreneurial superpowers. This article explores 10 telltale signs of ADHD and explains why each one is actually a talent for business success. Why recognizing ADHD matters now. Many people suffer in corporate environments without realizing they have ADHD. They tell themselves, "I'm a failure," or "I don't fit into society," while their self-esteem plummets as they force themselves to conform. But the real problem isn't your ability. It's simply that the environment doesn't match your strengths. Once you recognize your ADHD traits, you can choose environments where you'll thrive. And those traits, they're exactly what entrepreneurs need to succeed. Schools and corporations are optimized to create employees. Group conformity, average performance, fitting in with others. These are the opposite of ADHD traits. That's why you've struggled until now. Sign number 1. You can't sit still. The superpower of action. Bias. You fidget during meetings. Desk work feels like torture. You find yourself standing up without realizing it. Sound familiar? In school, you were probably told, "Sit still," repeatedly. At work, you might be labeled restless. But flip this around, you're energetic and action-oriented. Entrepreneurs need the ability to act immediately on ideas. Launch before you're ready. Get your product to market at 30% perfection to gather feedback. This speed of execution is key to business success. Markets constantly change. While you're waiting for perfect preparation, the market moves on. Your ability to act quickly becomes your strongest weapon as an entrepreneur. That's your sign number 2. You make careless mistakes. The superpower of big-picture thinking. Email typos, document errors, simple calculation mistakes. Maybe your boss said, "Even elementary school kids can do this." But making careless mistakes means you don't get bogged down in details. You see the big picture? Business leaders don't need to handle administrative tasks perfectly. They need to set the overall direction, delegate the detailed work. Your job is to paint the big picture, generate new ideas. With ADHD's creative thinking, you can develop business models nobody else imagines. In entrepreneurship, you don't need to excel at everything. Outsource your weaknesses and hyper-focus on your strengths. That's the ADHD-compatible way of working. Sign number 3, your conversations jump around. The superpower of creative connections. Your topics shift constantly mid-conversation. People say, "Wait, what were we talking about?" Maybe you've been told you have communication problems. Sign number 4. You hyper-focus on interests. The superpower of deep concentration. You can focus on what you love for hours. Suddenly you realize how much time has passed. But you can't concentrate at all on things that don't interest you. At work, they might say, "Focus on what you should be doing." But this hyper-focus ability is ADHD's greatest weapon. In entrepreneurship, you choose your own work. Start with what you want to do. Eat your favorite foods first. This is the most productive working style for ADHD. Even when doing what you love continuously, you eventually get bored. That's when you want to do something different. You might even feel like doing some administrative work you usually hate. Following this natural rhythm keeps you from stopping and lets you work in deep concentration. Sign number 5. You struggle with planning. The superpower of flexibility. You can't make long-term plans, can't follow schedules, act impulsively. Maybe you've been called lacking in planning skills. But this is the talent to flexibly adapt to market changes. Even perfect plans become obsolete when markets shift. The flexibility to pivot without clinging to plans is what matters. In entrepreneurship, a 10% success rate is fine. Expect to fail 10 times and keep trying. Treat failure as practice and continuously improve. This flexibility is ADHD's strength. Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Don't fear deviation from plans. Repeated trial and error is the path to success. Sign number 6. You can't organize. The superpower of prioritization. Your desk is messy. You can't organize documents. You frequently lose things. Maybe you've been criticized for poor organization. But this shows you're concentrating on what's important, rather than minor details. Steve Jobs' desk was reportedly messy too. Creative people use their mental energy generating ideas rather than organizing. In entrepreneurship, how you spend your time is most important. Use time understanding customer problems deeply rather than organizing. That's the correct priority. Keep only your work desk perfect to block out distracting information. Everything else can be messy. By limiting your environment, you activate your motivation switch. Sign number 7. Your time sense is off. The superpower of flow states. You're late for appointments, missed deadlines, poor at time allocation. Maybe you've been called irresponsible with time. But this means when you're absorbed in something, you can concentrate so deeply you lose track of time. You easily enter what psychologists call flow states. Suddenly hours have passed, that's where your talent hides. Make that absorbing activity your work, and you'll produce exceptional results. The hint to finding your life's work is what you do naturally. What you concentrate on and spend time on, that's what you love and find interesting. If these signs fit you, do this now. If these signs match you, you likely have ADHD, but there's absolutely no need to feel discouraged. These are all signs of entrepreneurial talent. First, start by knowing your true self. Give yourself permission to be the self that's been rejected until now, telling yourself it's okay to be this way. Next, find where you belong. The corporate environment simply doesn't fit in an entrepreneurial environment. Your talents will shine. Then create your life's work prototype. Start with what you want to do. Eat your favorite foods first. By following this natural rhythm, ADHD talents are maximized. The praise work to build self-esteem. Even recognizing ADHD won't help if your self-esteem stays low. Start by praising yourself. Write down 3 things to praise yourself for daily. Continue for 1 month with no duplicates. When you can praise even small things, you'll become grateful for your current self. Let go of the belief I'm a failure. You were called a failure because you couldn't do simple things. Because people said even elementary school kids can do this. But just because you can't do simple things doesn't mean you lack value. There are special things only you can do. That's ADHD talent. Starting entrepreneurship without quitting your job. You don't need to quit immediately. Rather, think of your job as a side gig and your life's work as your main business. At work, hold back appropriately and concentrate energy on your life's work. You might resist holding back, but to focus on one thing, you must hold back on others. When you have spare time, create time to think about your life's work. Your mind is free. Find ways to think about your life's work, even while at work. And use time caring for your health, walking, entering nature effectively. Unless you escape unpleasant things as much as possible, you won't know what you want to do. ADHD is talent. What you thought was a disorder was actually talent. Can't sit still means action bias. Careless mistakes mean big picture thinking. Jumping conversations mean creative thinking. These are all talents for entrepreneurial success. The corporate environment simply didn't fit in an entrepreneurial environment. Your traits become your greatest weapons. ADHD's constantly flowing ideas, hyper-focus on interests, ability to act immediately on impulses. These are exactly the talents needed for business success. Rather than denying yourself, understand your traits and choose environments where they thrive. This is the path for people with ADHD to live happily. Summary: your disorder is your talent. The 10 signs introduced in this article are both signs of ADHD and signs of entrepreneurial talent. The traits that were rejected until now were actually talents. Nobody can imitate. You're suffering at work not because you're bad, but because the environment doesn't fit.